A finale, the end of a season. Finally, I got to one throughout the season. My God, it took me forever, and I still got a couple more to go. But we finally ended up getting to one. I am a little cautious going into this for the reason of I have multiple questions and things that got kind of not just presented because they've been kind of like relevant things for a while now, but I feel almost need to get touched on to really wrap up what this arc itself is kind of entails. And I don't really believe we have the capabilities of doing it just in one episode. So I'm a little cautious, I guess, for how they plan to approach that. Now we do have technically the capabilities to do it, but maybe not to the extent that I'm expecting. And also some of it, like I think we need to flesh Yuki and her scenario and her feelings and things kind of behind the mask a little bit more need to be addressed prior to like us getting into this or throughout us getting into this. And I don't know if we have time to properly flesh out and do that. Does it need to happen? Not necessarily, but I feel like it should. Do we need to expand on Masachika's home life and what happened with his mom and his feelings towards her and her feelings towards him and all that type of stuff? I believe so. And I think that should happen here as well. Do we also need to expand on... Do we also need to actually hold the election and do all these other things? Yes. So there's a lot of things that technically can be done. I guess we could develop an entire episode, like, or dedicate one towards that. But then my concern comes the show itself having to center around Alya and center around Masachika and their relationship and other things too, is giving primary focus to maybe the siblings this episode and then just having like them come out victorious towards the back end. Enough of like that payoff. I don't really know. It makes me intrigued, and maybe we don't go into all that stuff, and maybe some of like the family stuff isn't as relevant, although it's been built up to this point and it continues to be relevant going into like future seasons and stuff. I don't know. But I'm interested, I guess, to how they handle this, and then maybe I'll probably have more questions and stuff to ask after we end up finishing this episode. So we'll end up seeing. Hopefully, you guys do enjoy. If you like it all, like and subscribe to me lots. Feel free to stick around for the discussion. After the discussion on this episode, I'll talk about the episode or the series itself, the whole first season, overall thoughts, opinions, things I liked, and all that good stuff, you know? And yeah, so hopefully you guys do enjoy that. Let's get going with the finale of Alya. Nice. In front of the crowd of people that we struggled in front of last time. You had a pretty big one for that. I was surprised. Some people just naturally have it. Also that. So they're hiding so much from us to unfold throughout this. Ah. And you yourself behave entirely different in so many different situations. Might not be for the same reasons, might not be as good, but we got one. No, I could never. I could never. Intrigued. I'm excited. Don't back out now. You stand on business.
綾乃がトスしてアーリャさんが裏表を当てるというのは？
いや、トスは他の人にやって。
Yeah, let the president do it.
疑り深いですね。
Nope.
私がやろうか？
マーシャさんならお願いします。あれ。
She's so cute. She got so excited over having the opportunity to do that.
お姉ちゃんをバカにした。できるわよ。見ててね。
They got an eye.
基準となる選考は最低限の拍手をもらえる。アーリャさんを選考にしたら。
There's benefits to each. You set the standard on one, but also you have the opportunity to have the other person capitalize on what you did. Right. And take advantage of that, so. That's why I lit something in him.
できたわよ、アーリャちゃん。もうわかったから。もう少し悩んでから。そういうのいいから。じゃあ、はい。あら、外れね。それじゃあ、ゆきちゃん。先行と後攻どっち？
You have to make the decision.
そうですね。さっきのお兄ちゃんの態度はもしかして演技？お兄ちゃんの狙いは最低限の拍手はもらえる先行を引いた上での引き分けなら、私は当初の予定通り圧勝を狙えばいい。それでは先行でお願いします。
わかった。先行。
See, I was gonna say she should go last because she might seem calm and collected when she goes up and you just have to sacrifice that, but then you can take advantage of the things that she said and did and kind of show her up more because you have a better ability at kind of catering to the audience.
コツコツって大事ですよね。私も毎日公園までお散歩しようかな。あ、お散歩って言えばこの
No, get off, get off.
続きまして、菅生由紀さんの挨拶です。それにあたって私のビジョンを少しお話ししたいと思います。
What you got for
私
us?
が生徒会長になった暁に目指すのは、より生徒の意見を反映した学園です。あら、今思ったより普通だと思いました？具体的にはこの図書箱
A classic suggestion.
一度でも利用したことがあるという人の方が少ないのではないでしょうか。実際私も校内放送で幾度となく取り上げていますが、要望が入っていることは少ないように思います。それはやはり皆さんが投書しても実現しないから無駄だと考えているからではないでしょうか。確かに
そうだね。
しかしこれは無理からぬことです。役員のほとんどは生徒会の仕事は初めてのこと。
But somebody who's constantly made the effort to have people take note of this would possibly prioritize that.
でしょう。ですが、私が生徒会長になった暁には
Sell him on a dream.
具体的には体育祭の種目変更、学園祭のイベント内容や開催時間の拡大、それにハロウィンやクリスマスにちなんで新しいイベントを作ったりするのも面白いかもしれませんね。ご清聴ありがとうございました。
Well done, Yuki. You didn't do anything bad. Absolutely. That's how they all do it. Wonderful. Is that a sign? She's better than I could be because he wouldn't do something like that, but he still got elected and they were able to latch onto that.
常に周囲への気遣いも忘れません。
隙のない演説だな。わざわざ先行を取って完封勝利を狙ってくるわけだ。大丈夫か？
ええ。
ならよし。
Yeah, we chill, we chill.
このイベントの名前ちゃんと覚えてるよな。
生徒会役員挨拶でしょ？
そう、挨拶だ。まずはお前を知ってもらうことから始めよう。
必ずや生徒会会長として見事に学園を率いてくださると確信しております。ご清聴ありがとうございました。
Well done, Ayano. Excellent job. Yeah, they played it relatively safe. We lied a little bit, you know, exaggerated, stretch of the truth a bit. We did our thing.
あの子面白かったね。君島さんだっけ？
She was not trying to be funny. That's just her. Well, she got what she wanted there. Just start yelling into the mic.
Я собираюсь выставить свою кандидатуру, но выбор председателя школьного совета в будущем году. Я пришла в эту школу в прошлом году.
Well, definitely gets their attention. Just them talking about her. That makes sense.
緊張のあまりロシア語が出てしまいました。今の
That was funnier than anything Ayano said. Why are we not laughing? You laughed at that.
そこへネイティブのロシア語で冷や水を浴びせてやれ。
Yep. Gets their attention and it just stops them dead in their
改めま
tracks.
して生徒会会計の九条ありさです。来年度には生徒会長選挙に立候補する予定です。私は去年この学園に転入してきて、まだ皆さんに誇れるような実績はありません。生徒会役員の仕事も会長職の重責も完全に理解したとは言い切れません。
I mean, you work close to the president, so you can ask.
たくさんあるのだと思います。誰よりも努力することができる人間だということです。私はいつだって理想とする結果に向けて努力してきました。生まれ持ったものにあぐらをかかず、研鑽することこそ人として大事なことだと思うからです。確かに行き過ぎた思いが時には摩擦を生み、手痛い失敗をすることもありました。
Yeah.
しかし失敗から学び、
And you got somebody by your side to keep you in check.
優秀賞を受賞しました。もちろんこれは私だけの力ではありません。
前を向け、アリア。
ですが、私は今こうして話すことができています。自分の口で、自分の言葉で、そしてこれからもこうして自分に足りないものを一つずつ埋めていくつもりです。もし来年の選挙戦までに自分が生徒会長にふさわしい。
Now they went full CG cinematics here.
どうぞこれからの私を見ていてください。そのすべてを糧にして私は皆さんに望まれる生徒会長になってみせます。ご清聴ありがとうございました。
To be fair, she basically did what Yuki did, minus like actual like I'm gonna do this and this, like minus specifics. But I guess that's kind of all you can do, you know? What the fuck else are you supposed to do in those speeches? Especially if you have nothing.
頑張って。
任せろ。そんじゃ、ちょっと勝ってくるわ。
Time to seal this.
かつて周防由紀生徒会長を支えた影の副会長とは、俺のことだ。あれ？はい。
What the fuck are you talking about?
お前なんで周防さんと立候補してないの？浮気か？浮気なのかってね。そこで私は言いたい。ユキのことはちゃんと。
Okay. That's an insane thing to just say in front of the school.
生徒会長にふさわしいのは何より人を引きつける人だと思います。皆さん、先ほどのアーレの挨拶を聞いてどう思いました？俺はすっげえ不器用だなって思いました。でも同時にすごいまっすぐで正直なスピーチだとも感じました。アーレが生徒会長になった暁には谷山さやかと宮前ののあが生徒会役員に加わります。
The two we just went against. Everyone thought we had problems with.
あ、討論でぶつかり合った相手が新生徒会で共に働いているのです。
Walk out on stage and prove it. Well done, brother. Well done.
これで借りは返しました。ええ、ありがとう。
Still got joined though.
選挙戦で手を貸すのはこれっきりです。わかってるわ。あなたにも応援してもらえるよう努力する。期待してます。じゃあ頑張ってね。
Thank you.
もしアリッサが生徒会長になったら協力するから。
I look forward to that. I would love more of you.
アリサ
You're making some
これ
friends.
が私が生徒会長を目指す理由。もうあなたの覚悟に気をされたりはしない。
私がもう少しうまく話せていれば
No, you're good. There's nothing you could have done.
私の判断ミスです。ま、今回のところは負けを認めましょう。今回のところはね。
ユキ様、素晴らしい強キャラ感で。いや、狙ってねえんだ。
It's funny how that works. When you try to, you don't. When you don't, you do.
目標達成できてたらもっとかっこよかったんだけどな。
Mm.
本当にね。
なんとも締まらない結果だね。ま、
We didn't get it. Top 30 was a dream.
賭けはどうするよ。何でも一つ言うことを聞かせられるって。
Mm.
考えておくわ。
I think you already have
お前なん
something.
か考えあるって言ってなかったか？ロシア語でなんか言ってたじゃん。
あれは
Is it because somebody else just started calling her that, so she likes the idea of...
Я не сомневалась, что...
ああ、こいつ自分が勝つとは。なんだっけ。確か名前って言ってたか。正式に会長選のペアだと認知されたわけですし。
So what's next for the relationship?
二人の親密度をアピールするためにも名前で呼び合うというのはいかがでしょうか。
まあ、いいんじゃないかしら。
そう？
まあ
So awkward.
それじゃあ
Yeah, you can too.
さちかくん
まあその
Rolled off the tongue, yeah.
選挙戦に向けていろいろと準備がいるじゃん。ユキや綾乃なんかはずっと一緒にいるわけだし、だから俺たちも夏休み中ちょくちょく会いませんか？
The struggling of eye contact. Looking away.
まさちかくん
Lock in.
にパーダイドーハやらかんで
You know, the craziest thing about this is, I thought this was the election the whole fucking time. And then at the end, she was like, oh, I always still got the election to come up. But it was the fucking closing ceremony. I don't know why. I couldn't get it through my head. Ah, well, that just changes everything. The whole start of the episode, I was like, you know, they gotta do the election, so they gotta wrap up Yuki as like a character and her backstory, and they gotta go into the thing with the mom and all that. Dude, this is the fucking closing ceremony. They don't gotta do any of that. What was I saying? What the fuck was I saying? I can't believe that. Usually I don't mess those things up like that. What the fuck? No, all right. Well, it's past us now. Okay, so I'm gonna guess and make the assumption that because season 2 is a thing, I'm gonna make the assumption that the entire second season is build up to climax election at the end, and we get all of our answers that I have then. That'd be my guess. So I can't believe I did that. Anyways, yeah. That'd be my assumption. I think that's where we're almost headed. Things basically went as expected. I would say nothing was kind of throwing me for a loop. I never expected, and still even going into the overall election, I don't expect for a single second for Yuki to end up winning. There's nothing that I think would kind of do that for me to make me believe that. It's not her show, you know. I don't know how they plan to do that, because I think overall for the closing ceremony and the speeches and everything that they essentially gave here did a really excellent job at just kind of like demonstrating the difficulties that come with either going first or second, the ability to kind of erase the things in the audience's mind to release the tension in the air a little bit, right? To kind of throw people for a little bit of a loop. Like, I feel like they banged a lot of that out here that I don't know what we really do when we go like full on election time. So I guess we're going to have to wait and see what they end up having in store for us going forward there. But I think they kind of nailed everything that they needed to there. The only thing that they didn't do was, I guess, make Yuki's speech and everything feel as strong as I think it should have. But that works in the sense of they got basically, and you have to make hers a little weaker to allow the other one to shine even stronger, and not really have any doubt in the mind of who really came out on top here. So it works. It's just I would pray when actual election time comes along, they make her a lot stronger going into it, to maybe at least give us the illusion that she's gonna win. That's all I ask, right? Try and trick me at least, because I didn't feel that. A little bit of practicing before things go here. I love when Yuki ends up finally showing up here, and just the overall stare down and everything that they have between the two of them, just feeling like they can outdo the other one and outsmart the other, and just the overall back and forth that the two of them end up giving, I think is really, really excellent. Oh, our friendship's a little destroyed. No, actually, I think it's way better now. There's different sides of it. I love his little dog analogy about, he wanted to give head pats to one of them, for even taking that risk and taking that chance. But also, I got to sit you the fuck down and put you in your place. I think it's really, really excellent the way that they do that. I want you to fully commit. Don't back down from this shit. Give me everything that you got, because this shit's starting to get a little bit fun here. I think it's really clever, really interesting. Don't mock me. We gotta decide who goes first. This is the cutest thing, which is just immediately, it's like, me, let me say. I love Asha so much. And I like the internal stuff too. Like, it's not crazy. It's not groundbreaking, right? Like, none of this is. It's things that is general knowledge for the most part. And for people who don't, it does a really good job at explaining the thought process of what kind of goes through people's head of, like, especially in a scenario like this, how do I erase the tension of, like, kind of what's going on? How do I kind of overcome what somebody who went before me did? How do I follow up somebody who went before me? How do I like put them down? Like, what do I do in all these scenarios? I think is the real smart thing for her to do, right? Do I let her go first and then I just crush her when I go after her? Do I go first and set standards so high that she just crumbles and it looks awful in comparison, having to follow that up? Like, so many different questions and things that can kind of go through your mind of not knowing exactly what you want to pick and what you want to do. And she unfortunately gets unlucky here because I think she's so uncertain of what she actually wants to go out of her way and do that almost wishes that she didn't have to make that decision when it came to it. And that's the illusion of choice that you end up coming into, right? Everything ends up being bad because at the end of the day, none of it would have probably worked. They probably would have had a plan to end up coming out of it. But here you are thinking that because you ended up doing this, maybe you made a mistake, and now maybe going into the actual election, you make the decision that you want to do a speech and you want to go second because of what happened here. So you have to follow them up, and you think that you'll do a better job at that. But maybe that will be proven to be wrong as well. And no matter what you did, will end up failing. Who actually knows what's going to occur? I love when Masha catches it. She's like, look at me, I did it. Yeah, let me not focus on him and instead focus on exactly what I can do against her. Well, the problem is she's got him, and that's who's backing him up. Closing ceremony, fun from everybody. Masha's speech is hilarious. I was thinking at first when she was talking about this, like, there's no way she has anything planned. And then she's like, oh, speaking of that, let me tell you this. Like, yeah, she did not have anything written. She was just going off the dome. These looks from Yuki are so good. So fucking excellent. For the most part, both speeches are like bad. Like they're not bad. They're good for being like what they're supposed to be. They're bad in the sense that like they're not gonna matter. Like they're not gonna work because nothing that you say or do is actually gonna like fully convince somebody. And they might, but at the end of the day, you're doing the exact same thing that like any sort of election kind of does when people end up like debating each other and giving speeches and stuff. It's just like boasting that you're gonna do a lot of these things or that you have done things without really like backing any of it up and without like proving any of it. It's something that you're selling them on promises essentially, and that's what Yuki essentially tries to do here, and that's kind of essentially what we get from Alya too. Alya's situation's a little different. Yuki's is let's physically sell you on I've been preaching something for like a long time and I will make this thing happen and I will be the person person who listens to you, and I understand like your frustrations and everything with the current like grouping and pairing of people and stuff that you have to deal with now. And you know, let me sell you on the idea that I will go out of my way and I will make this happen, which you don't know if it will. You have to just take her word for it. And can you actually do that? You know, which starts laying out things. I bet you want these things to be expanded, or maybe have events for Halloween and do all these like other things. It's like, yeah, those are fun. Those are good ideas. Will you actually do it? Who the fuck knows, right? And it's just trying to sell people on these things that can kind of cater towards them. Ayano comes up, plays it pretty safe, just kind of boosts her up a little bit more and makes them, reassures them, right? And that's essentially, I think, what the follow-up person is supposed to be, is let me explain all these things I'm going to do. The follow-up person comes in and is like, let me explain why this person will actually do the things they do, because I'm attest to their character as somebody who has to spend so long with them. But of course, you're going to give them the praise and give them all the proper things they want to hear. So it's like, it's difficult to buy into and trust any of these people, especially if you don't know them on your own and you don't know the ins and outs of the things that are going to happen. We come up here, pretty clever, I think, starting it with Russian. I think that was probably the biggest highlight of all of this for me, especially if you go second, is a way to kind of like ease things up a little bit. It erases everything out of the other people's minds of what just ended up going down. It gets them to stop talking. It gets them more invested in what you're doing because they're so caught off guard by it. And it really does reset everything that you have to follow up. Which I think is a really excellent kind of tactic for them to go into. It gives her a chance to then go into English, and she does essentially the exact same thing that Yuki does, but without like these specific examples of stuff. She just makes these boasts and claims about, I'm a hard worker. I'm not from here. I'm willing to work. I'm willing to try hard, and I'm willing to do all these things. I've had issues in the past, but I'm overcoming all of that stuff, and through the help of everybody, we can all work together and do all this. And once again, it's selling you on who she is, who's her character. Will she be capable of doing these things? We don't know. None of these people know. You'll never know unless you know her as a person and you can truly be like, I can trust this person for it. So once again, we're just listening to a bunch of boasts and a bunch of claims about things that we don't really know, and there's no way to prove, which we just have to kind of leave you up to judge of character. And can you actually trust this? Yeah, trust me, it's from the bottom of my heart. Like, sure, right? Like, I don't know what else to tell you. I don't get the fucking big dramatic CG pan. It makes no sense to me. It's whatever, but it was just funny to me. Yeah, you were cool as hell. You did your job. I mean, it was all right. It was all right. It definitely was better and more impactful, but also comes down to overall visuals and music and stuff. So it's not the actual speech was better. It's the overall use of like the medium itself is like kind of what they ended up doing, which wasn't any of the characters doing or anything. It was the actual like production of the show that we're watching that comes in. But then I guess that's a question to ask. Would you rather trust somebody who makes claims of these things they're going to do, providing examples of what they're going to kind of possibly go into and do, like Yuki, or would you rather trust on somebody in who they're just trying to sell you on who they are and who their character is? Which one would you kind of cater towards, you know? Because I think it is saying something a lot that she's not pulling out examples and being like, I'm going to make the sports festival better, or I'm going to change this or do this. Instead, just kind of trying to sell you on who she is as a person, even knowing that the person following her up is going to essentially try and do the exact same thing. Which one would you do? I don't know. It all comes down to a bunch of different things. His joke flops here completely, but he does the exact same thing of trying to ease things up a little bit and get people's attention. Him coming out and being like, I dumped her and all that stuff is like a little weird. Like, I get it, but at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I would see this and think it's like kind of weird and like petty almost, and maybe he's not even telling the truth and he's just not being professional in the slightest about like a bunch of it. So I don't really buy into it. Like, it's fun and funny, I guess, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I don't think it was the smartest or greatest thing for him to actually do. I think the best thing overall that he could do out of all of this was bring these two out on stage and be like, I literally got them to join. Like, they will be a part of us going forward. And that's just like a test to the efforts that we are putting in and the willingness that we are to overcome and work with people despite even having like disputes and issues and stuff. And if you could trust these people or you back them at any given moment, like, you can trust that they also have your best interest in mind and we're working together. And I think that that's like the strongest card that you can kind of really play here. And they did an excellent job at definitely working around and bringing them together. That's the most we're going to do. I'm so happy that she's around still. than she's going to be going forward. Holy fuck. We need a win so that we can keep her around, because my god, I need that. Oh, I guess they got the best of us. Nah, Yano, you did everything that you could. Just for today, we lose. You're giving a boss aura right now, which is funny, you know, not trying to do something, actually giving off the thing that you want to when you try is hilarious how that ends up working. Of course, the classics at 1 and 2, but he loses here. I thought the first name thing was going to be she just got called that by somebody else, so it doesn't feel as good. And also having a nickname that like literally almost nobody calls you is probably better for him to call her. I mean, even later he ends up calling her that as well. But she's able to get exactly what she wants, and he puts it in a good enough way by getting the first name out of her. They have some fun and cute reactions together. Well, we got to spend a lot of time prepping for all this and going forward, and she gladly will. Look forward and look towards the future. Exciting. It's a good way to wrap it up. The only issue I take with it is we didn't get like the Brokan Yuki like persona to come out. You know, that's the only one I wish we had in the episode, because that's so fun. But there's no real complaint, I think, of anything really on this. I think it's a nice way to wrap things up kind of neatly, and really just like show progression and growth within the characters, which is essentially all this was about. And that's what the election itself is going to primarily be about. Like, that's what the entire show has been, is bringing them closer, getting them to a point that they can agree to start working together. And now all the election buildup so far has been growth on these characters, showing firsthand that you can't work with people. I mean, at the beginning, we literally get our struggle of Alya to like work with people. We also get it at multiple other points, and here we are at the end, kind of overcoming issues that you've had with other people in the past and getting them to work together with you as well. And through teamwork and agreeance of things with others and compromise and everything, the growth that she's been able to have, the improvement on their relationship. I mean, even in moments where she gets like really shy and flustered over things, having that improvement. I think it was the last episode when they went on like their little birthday thing and everything, right? It's like just slight improvements and things that kind of happen in the growth that you get to see throughout them. And in the election is more of like this background that's used as a way to kind of bring them together and give them scenarios to kind of put that all on display. And I think it does exactly what it needs to. It wraps things up nicely here, and there's plenty more that they need to still get into, and 100% will get into going forward into the next season. So I think like what I was so concerned about, especially at the beginning of the episode, was one, caused by the issue and misunderstanding on my own end of not really realizing this is just a closing ceremony speeches as opposed to actual election. And yeah, so I think that all got cleared up actually just as a result of that, because now it just opens the door. If we didn't need to go into all that here, it keeps you wondering enough, and now we can explore that so much further going into the next season. Which I think is really necessary. We'll talk a little bit about the season as a whole. I don't think I have too much I want to add to it, but we will overall speak on it. I really enjoyed it. I had a ton of fun. There are moments that are a little weird. There are storyline stuff, like general election stuff is rather boring to me, and I won't say this series does it particularly well either, but they do a good enough job with masking it as a background and just using the overall plot of that to kind of boost the interactions between characters and the motives and like what they're trying to do. And I think that's what it does really, really well. But the best thing it does is just make likable characters. There's not a character in this that I don't like even the short hair girl, I can't remember her name, but even her, like when we had our little run-ins and issues with her, it's like she was coming from a place of like actual like reason and understanding like that we can get behind, and it makes sense. Like there's no characters I disliked or had an issue with in the slightest, and all of them had like colorful personalities and like bright things, and even somebody like Alya, who I think like we did a good enough job developing her, but I still feel is kind of flat a little bit and not that entertaining to me. She still has plenty of moments that are stronger than like some other shows can even make their mains, which is a really strong test. And that, I mean, being the main character and being one of the least interesting in my opinion too, is also up there. Like it's just, I don't know, it's really interesting how they're able to, but that's what sells it for me, is the characters overall. Masachka having such a fun personality, being so upfront about a lot of things, but also knowing when to dial things back, also knowing when to, you know, maybe not be too vocal about certain things that he would like to and like keep on the inside. Some sometimes slipping up or sometimes being vocal and saying things that the viewer would be saying to themselves. I mean, when she walks in with the maid outfit and he has a thought to say, you know, him thanking her in the first episode for seeing the promised lands and everything, right? Like just things that like maybe would go through somebody's head, but nobody would openly want to ever say. And just he's able to like just blurt it out, but realizing that he shouldn't. Like being able to take those charges and not actually restrict and hold everything in allows for a level of humor and like self-awareness on a lot of stuff too that is really excellent, and I think he nails completely. He's very fun. He has multiple personalities that he can go into, different voices and stuff that he pulls out. It complements his sister and Yuki extremely well. The reveal that they do for her is really excellent, and switching up and showing that they're together. Her like so many different personalities that she has, and many I'm sure that we still have to get into as we expand on her and her character so much. She's extremely clever, extremely funny, really interesting. You never know how she's going to act or what she's going to do when she's on screen, and it makes it so great. Her dynamic with every character is really excellent too, and extremely strong. And I really like that. The main two have a really good and cute chemistry, I think, overall together. While I'm not the most thrilled by Alya, I love her design overall, and I think that she definitely has some, I mean, generic moments and stuff, like for the way that she gets flustered and everything over it. I think the hiding feelings in Russian was a little underplayed. Wish it was maybe used a little more, but maybe I don't. Maybe that's a weird statement to say, because maybe if it was utilized more, it would feel like it's overutilized. So I don't really know. But I just assumed we would get more Russian than we really did. But maybe not a bad thing. I don't really know. But that seems to kind of be like her real big like trait. So it's like a little underwhelming, I guess, that there's not like so much more that I can really grasp onto and care about when it comes to like her and her little like quirks. It's like that and like her ability to like work hard. But it's like I don't really in a character, like in a show, I'm trying to have some fun. I don't value that too much. So I don't know. But she's, I mean, really good regardless though, for the most part. I don't have too many issues with her. Masha's extremely fun. I love her. She's so fun. She's so cute. Everything that she does, you never know. She's like just the complete airhead, but she's so fun. She definitely has those things behind her. You know that that's a big thing between all the characters, is playing a part for somebody else. They all act a certain way around somebody else to cover up something that they like hide themselves a little bit more and mask a little bit. But I think they all have like all those unique personalities really display and showcase and complement each other really well, depending on whatever dynamic or pairing we have to go into. And they all do an extremely good job. All the other side characters and stuff too, we're not going to get into all of them, but really excellent. And I think like some of them aren't even as developed or anything, but they still are entertaining when they're on screen. And there's nobody that I'm like not happy with, I guess, when I end up seeing them. I think the humor is really funny in the show. I had a blast in the first episode, and I remember talking about how much I loved it and certain aspects of it. And I still think it continues. I can see it not being for everybody. I mean, that's humor in general, complete subjective, and we get that as well with the different scenes of us kind of going a little bit more ecchi-esque, I guess. With the more like fan servicey scenes, we get that as well, where I can see people being turned off completely by that stuff. I'm not bothered in the slightest by any of it. I don't have an issue. Sometimes it's overdone. I think it's done cleverly, like in funny in scenarios, to allow it to really shine. Whether it's Yuki jumping in and having like just talking about how great she thinks boobs are, whether it's us being able to do the hypnotizing and everything, like that's like it just works within it. Like it's weird how it is, but it's not like oh, you just walked in on me changing, you know. It's like we have one of those scenes as well, but it's aware and it's Yuki trying to force it almost into happening, you know. Like it's things like that it just feels like everything is done with more intention and purpose than like, haha, random trope, you got thrown into it and it happened. It's like, oh, random moment just to show off some like random fan service stuff, you know. Like us going shopping and complimenting Alya doesn't for a second in my mind like showcase, oh, here's an excuse to show you a shot of her changing. They do it, but is it like a thing that I think that the whole scene was set up entirely just so we can get that one moment? No, it just is a product of, we're gonna do this in so many other scenes, we'll just make the most of it in the scenes that we have the ability to, because why the fuck not? And I don't think that's a problem. Where the audience for the most part is the horny men, if we're being honest, and that's what we get here, right? Like that's what they're trying to do. So I mean, there's no like issue in my opinion with any of that stuff. I thought it was hilarious too because I think a lot of those scenes and sequences can get set up really well with the comedy, also with the way that the characters can play off of each other. Yuki is the funniest character that I've seen in a long while. She's just extremely a joy to have on screen the whole time. Easily my favorite throughout the entirety of the series. And I just think there's so much. The animation was done really well. Shout out to Dogakoba. They've been doing really excellent shit. With Jellyfish last season, Oshinoko has been really exceptional, and just this as well. Everything's been stellar from them so far. They've been on a real strong run over the last like year or so. So that's real props to them. I'm very, very pleased by that. And it was pretty consistent for the most part all the way through, which I really enjoyed. The OP is chill. I think the visuals are really fucking excellent and I love them. Don't really care too much for the song, but it's not bad. The ED, I really liked the changing every single episode. I thought that was really sick. I can't remember, Chainsaw Man did that, and then Real Life did that, and I don't know if any other shows have really done that, which I think is cool. The only unfortunate thing is I don't think I really took too many songs from it that I necessarily cared about or I'll go back to, which I think happened the exact same thing with Chainsaw Man, where I just didn't really like any of the songs, but a bunch of the visuals were really cool. I don't know, it's like it's a weird thing that happens, and maybe it's because I need multiple listens on a lot of songs like to really feel like I like it. I'm weird like that. I don't get it. I don't get why I'm like that, but it just hits way harder for me, and I get them way more if I hear them multiple times. And I don't re-listen like when I edit or anything. I just skip those parts out because I'm not reacting to them really. So yeah, I don't know. But I thought that stuff was cool regardless. And I don't think I have too much to say. Really enjoyed it. Very excited. I'm 100% going to do season 2, so no questions on that. So whenever they decide to come out with that, if I'm still around doing videos, I can assure you I will be here for that, because this was extremely fun for me to watch. It's nothing too crazy for me to get into either, and it's pretty chill. I look forward to it each time. I mean, I sat down today and watched the final 3 episodes when I have 2 other shows to get through. So just to show you, I mean, I really did enjoy it. Hopefully you guys did as well. Hopefully you're excited for season 2. Hopefully you enjoyed the reactions. Hopefully you stuck around for all of them, even if this is just your first one. Thanks for joining along the way. Thanks for showing any support at any given point within this series. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it, though. If you liked it all, like and subscribe to me out to me. Feel free to check out the video and channel and comments with this episode series. We do have to finish Stepsister. We do have to finish Spice and Wolf, and then new season begins. We're going to be watching ReZero season 3. We're going to be watching Blue Box, and we're going to be watching Dandadan. Those are the 3 that I'm watching. So I'll say that. I haven't said that anywhere yet, but those are the 3 we're doing. So you'll see that. I don't know if this is actually going to be up, now that I think about it, before any of those get posted. If not, they're already up. If it's up somehow before, you know that now. Yeah, once again, thank you very much for any support on this series. Hopefully I see you in season 2. Hopefully I see you in a different video. Have a good one. Peace.